don't let your view count and likes define your worth. This has been something that, I think a lot of people grapple with, especially on social media. If you're trying to do a YouTube channel, it's just a metric, and there's a number of factors that kind of tailor into it. If you're not putting something out there that's immediately obvious, the value of it to people, enough that they click on it and view it, or some people are just famous from all these other things that they've done, and if you're viewing how your success metric on different platforms governs your self-worth, you're going to be miserable. And a lot of people know this, and they talk about it. It's a lot of cliches. And but I want to talk about how it can be very hard if, say, you're being very vulnerable. What if you're putting out your best work? You're trying to grapple with something, or you're maybe you spend a lot of time making a short film or something, and you spent months or years making something. That's real, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, that happens. That happened a lot over the years, where I thought by spending a lot of time and effort and getting a lot of feedback and going to so many lengths to make a short film that was as good as I could make one, that somehow the heavens would part and then everyone would love it. I'd get so many views. I'd get millions of views. It doesn't work that way. And it's, I spent a long time trying to make different videos and films, and I started actually making stuff that I thought the algorithm wanted, and I was successful to some degree. I made a short film that got 71,000 views, but I felt miserable. I actually reached a rock bottom at the highest views I'd ever had, because I realized I was not making films for me or anyone anymore. I was just doing stuff that appease the algorithm. And there's a lot of people who will go onto social media or YouTube or the internet just for a quick fix. If that's not your audience, if your audience is not the people who want a quick fix, don't tailor your content to them. Don't try to make stuff for people who don't care about anything other than like clickbait, or not just clickbait, but things that just they grab your attention. My audience, for instance, is I spent many years trying to figure out how to be successful at writing, directing films, and my audience is I want to make films for people who, and honestly, I have to ask myself, I've thought about it a lot, but I need to underthink it. Who is my audience for my films? I actually don't think it's me. It's honestly, and this comes from, like, I make films for me and that I want to see. I always have. When I didn't, it was miserable, and people who really did like my films a lot and understood them, when I was making the things that mattered to me, they understood it and they loved it. When I was making films that didn't matter to me, they didn't really care for it much. But some people did, but it was on a superficial level. I don't want the superficial connections. I want the deep, honest, authentic, visceral connections with people who they see my work and they're like, that connects with me. That's my audience for my films. The people who, when I make a film for myself and no one else, they love it. They exist. I've met them. I reject this idea of, as a filmmaker, you need to market your films. You need to figure out, like, you know what? You go do that. Go do it. Find out where that leads you. It might work, but you know what? I'm making films with soul. I'm making stuff that, where people, when the day and age comes where people can tell an AI what they want and the AI will create that film for them, and they don't need you anymore because they'll get what they want from that AI. If you're going to stoop to such a low level of making films that are literally just about, giving people something like I don't know, packaging it where there's no soul left. It's just cheesy, it's hollow. You know what I'm talking about, where there's horror films that they're just there to be dumb. It's just dumb. Like, anytime you see something and you're like, oh, that's kind of dumb, there's not going to be a market for that anymore, I think. I mean, yes, but it's going to be driven by AI. Like, you're going to have to be, the AI are going to take over your job sooner than someone who has soul in their work. And frankly, I don't think it's going to happen with people who have soul in their work, because that's a whole other thing. Is like, will AI ever have soul? No. That's something to grapple with, though. That's a whole other topic. But this idea of like making films that, and I don't know why, for this whole year I've been trying to make stuff that has soul to it, that has a human connection, that I feel passionate and connected to and love. I don't know why, but I feel driven to do it. And I think over the years I've figured out it's because that's what God was guiding me to do, fathering me to do. And I now understand that is what brings me the most joy, and I think brings others the most joy based on reading the script. It's like, when you read something that's real and raw and authentic, people tend to just soak it up, and they need that. And it's harder to do, but it's also the hardest thing to replace. It's authentic when it's true to you and your life experiences. That's the hardest thing to replace. AI can't replace that. Not anytime soon, at least. I don't think it ever will. But you make like in my instance with my YouTube channel. Over the years, I've been trying to figure out how to be a successful filmmaker who does the kind of films that I wanted to make, and I finally figured out how to do that. I'm working at it now, and it's going well. But how do you? I wanted to create a bread trail of breadcrumbs for people who want to do the same, and don't have to go to all these different sources and make connections and do it themselves and figure it out that way. It's hard, but I wanted to create that resource, and that's not something that's easily clickable, because it requires the audience to do work. I'm looking for an audience who wants the work, who wants just a meal. That's what I'm trying to do. And so you might not be providing any value. You might not. Who knows? Or you're trying to provide a meal, and that's not the candy that people go to these platforms for. Frankly, that's not even, could you say that that's their fault? Maybe not, because those algorithms, they will pump a lot of candy in front of them, and they have to then weed through the candy for the meal. And that's why I try to limit social media use. I'm not going to social media for a meal. I go to books for that. I go to audiobooks. How many people read? Do people read anymore? Do people watch movies anymore? People want candy. They don't want meals anymore, for the most part. Now, if when the people who do want a meal still, I want to be in service to them. That's my audience, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's in filmmaking. And because of that, especially starting out, I get like 0 to 5 views on videos. But you know what? I'm realizing I can't let that get in my head. I just gotta keep doing the things that, putting stuff out there that I know would be useful to me, that I want to talk about, that is on the journey of making films and learning as I go. Like right now, I'm directing my first feature film. I spent over 10 years learning how to write something that was actually good, and that felt needed and made the world a better place and was God honoring. And even though that wasn't even the initial intention, it just brought me back to Christ, and I documented it. All the positives that I can put into a movie, I'm doing that right now. And it can be discouraging if you dwell on it, that, oh, well, you're making this feature film, you're getting 0 views on YouTube, you're getting nothing. And I started the YouTube channel because I was like, you know what, I need to find a way to build an audience so that I have an audience when the film is done. And that might not happen. Probably won't. Who knows? The audience might come from the film, but how does the film, it's like the chicken and the egg. Huh. I just had a eureka moment. So, I've been saying a lot raise the staff and the waters will part. And all this time, I have been overthinking how to put a film out there. I've been dwelling on the fear that by making this film, if I don't have an audience, the film's not going to go anywhere. What if, by making the film that you dreamed of, the audience will find you? I mean, that tracks with everything else I've experienced this last year, the last few years. Anytime I would overthink about like, oh, this is not going to work out, how am I going to figure out this? Just get started. Then the cast comes into the picture that you can trust. The locations come in. You know, the resources. Things start to work out. It's why I'm going to start doing my sci-fi trilogy. It's by starting it that things actually start to go somewhere. You raise your staff and the waters are apart, but you have to raise your staff and look silly. You have to do something that seems counterintuitive, like a chicken and the egg, a catch-22. You have to do something that feels just illogical. It doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? Why would I go do this when I have to get this sorted out? No, you don't have to get your ducks lined up sometimes. Sometimes the ducks line up when you actually start lining up ducks. Or that doesn't make sense. Like the ducks will align themselves when you start placing the first one, you know, or the second one. Like they will find a way to align themselves. And that's through work. You are creating an impetus by starting of like, oh crap, it's happening, we're doing this. And then God's like, all right, he's doing the thing, let's help him out here. And then it's like, oh thanks, oh that's actually, did not expect that to happen. You know, I'm gonna go, now I gotta go do this work. And you're toiling away, you're working at it, you're getting the work done, you're doing the groundwork. Yes, you're being God's hands and feet in your life, but other people are doing the same. He is going to answer certain prayers. If you pray to him on a lot of things you're grappling with and trying to figure out as you're going through that process of crossing the river, you know, he's going to bring things into your life and make things work that you did not even imagine were possible. Like, it's just, you have to start, and you have to, it's why the Nike slogan is just do it. And actually the story behind that is because one of the marketing people I heard was in a meeting, and they're like, what's the slogan for the company? And then somebody remembered what the final words of this mass murderer who was on the electric chair, and he's like, any last words? He just said, just do it. And then they flipped the switch and zapped him. And I don't know if that's true. I think it might be. I'm not sure. I heard it from someone. But I'm gonna run with it. But yeah, just do it. Like, it's like morbid. But yeah, no, you have to just start and you know, all right, what happens when you start? You're gonna have 0 views and 0 likes. You might have that for a long time. You might have that indefinitely. But guess what's gonna happen if you don't start? You're still gonna have 0 views and 0 likes. Who cares? Just keep going, and by creating many pots, you start to figure out, how to get better at them automatically. Like it's just not even any effort at all. You just start doing it automatically, and by doing many pots, each pot becomes much better and much better quality. And that's been my philosophy with this YouTube channel, is like, I'm gonna put out many YouTube videos and slowly improve them as I go, and I might not even be aware of how I'm improving them. Just go and do the thing. And this is true of films. I made a bunch of short films and got much better at all the different jobs, whether it be directing, actors, writing things that I cared about and that actually mattered and made the world a better place, and was aiming as high as possible, which is very important. It's actually probably a topic for some video, but you know, doing cinematography, shooting a bunch of projects for people, so I knew how to light stuff and shoot stuff better. Sound, working on sound, and whether it's recording it or post sound, or learning how to hire crew members and direct them and lead them and guide them. Acting, learning how to act in your own films. while doing, or learning how to direct, act, DP, and do every job simultaneously without fail, or make mistakes but still pull it off. Like, that's all stuff that you can practice, but you have to create many pots. You got to show up many times and just keep learning at it. And yeah, like, I think that's why you can't get tripped up on view count. You can't get tripped up on like, oh, I don't have my audience. Well, you got to start creating the content or the value for the audience. And you might beat away at it and not know how to figure it out. Like, this is actually a pep talk for me. Like, I don't know if these videos are actually useful to anybody. I think they will be when I'm successful with films. But then it's like, maybe they're together. They go together. They're not separate. Maybe the success of this helps the films. The films help this. It's all connected. And you just gotta start, and things will work themselves out, and you'll find a way. I heard someone say, it's, when it comes to distribution, which is something I dwell on a lot. Like, how do I distribute a film when I don't have an audience? The road to when you get to that spot, the road will reveal itself. I heard from somebody who's actually distributed films, and I believe it. I'll figure it out. But yeah, don't dwell on the fact that you might not have an audience. That's fine. Don't dwell on the fact that, like, you didn't get as many likes or whatever. Learn to shut that stuff off. Now, yeah, like, there's other, like, YouTubers who'd be like, to build a channel, you gotta just, check your metrics. You gotta learn from, what's working, what's not. And yeah, there's truth to that. And I'm not doing that right now. I used to be doing it, but I don't think I learned that much. I'm kind of just doing the same thing. And yeah, I think there's a part of me that's like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Maybe that's what this YouTube channel will be, but who knows? But I think, I'm doing different things each time. And as I evolve it, eventually I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try this completely differently and see where that goes. And it's a learning experience. But creating many pots teaches you how to improve the quality of each pot, better than just spending all that time working on one pot and hoping that, that'll teach you everything you need to know. But I hope this video is helpful. If there's anything I can do to serve you or help you guys out, leave a comment below, let me know. And I pray that you have a blessed day. Appreciate you watching. Later. Bye.